tongues were united in a strength and resolve to uphold the honor of our land and for generations to come. And for generations to come. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there.
All right, welcome. Good morning once again to everyone out there to Talking Point on Inspiration 100.5 FM. My name is Jadesola Ajibola, and of course, I'll be hosting you now from now till 12 noon, and we'll be discussing issues ahead of the general election. All right, this morning I have a guest in the studio with me, and I'll be sharing with you the profile of my guest. But before then, of course, you will recall that many states across the Federation will be holding governorship election, of course, this Saturday. States like Ekiti, states like Osun, state like Anambra would not be holding election because they've had their isolated elections in the past. But here we are in your state. We're prepared ahead of the elections. And on Talking Point this morning, we're going to look at, of course, vis-a-vis the last presidential election, INEC's preparedness. What did INEC do well? What was not done well? And how we can work on all of this to get a better result for Saturday election. Of course, we'll also look at some of the governorship candidates that we have in your state, the endorsements that have been flying here and there, and what can be done better for and in the interest of the people of your state. Permit me to welcome you once again to Talking Point on Inspiration 100.5 FM. All right, my guest this morning is Mr. Shotade Olayinka. He is a politics and public policy analyst, is a social activist and founder of Policy Advocates, Youth Development Advocates. Of course, when it comes to training, he's well trained in mathematics, public administration, managerial psychologist, all from Obafemi Awolowo University. Is a corporate communication practitioner. Of course, he's had a lot of work experience and is a member of the Presidential Panel on National Security in Nigeria. Is a former aide to the Special Assistant on Federal Ministry of State for Foreign Affairs. He's an aide to he was an aide to the Minister of State for Defense, as well as former Director for Strategy and Public Relations, the United Nations Youth Association, Nigeria, and also UN Habitat, Lagos. Of course, he's a convener and panel member, participant at several youth development sessions locally and internationally. He is a management trainer and a life coach. So welcome with me to the program this morning, Shotade Olayinka, Mister. You're welcome this morning.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Good to have you. All right, so let's look at the last election. The last general, or let me say presidential election held in Nigeria across the states of the Federation in the 774 local governments of the country that were held. And a lot of irregularities were recorded, starting from lateness of INEC officials to the polling unit, because we actually did, as we had situation room, and we had presence in various states across the Federation. And of course, with regards to that, we got reports that even at 12 o'clock, some polling units were yet to receive materials or INEC officials. Of course, in some places, security personnel were also not adequate in some places. Of course, you don't like how we used to have it, that you have security agencies across, along the road and all of that. It was limited. Of course, many said maybe because it was presidential election. The presidential election, as we all saw it, was each free. Um, there was no major, record of thuggery, violence, and all of that. And so, one would say maybe because it wasn't particularly directed at the people at the grassroots. Now we're heading towards another election in Nigeria this Saturday. This Saturday, we're heading towards the governorship election in Oyo State and other states across the Federation. Now, how would you rate what INEC has done the last election? How do you think INEC can do it better in this coming election to prevent a lot of irregularities that were mentioned by Nigerians? All right, Mr. Shotari, let's hear from you.
Well, Johnny, thank you very much for having me this morning. You practically have said almost everything I needed to say in terms of the places and angles from which the elections went south. And unfortunately, it was going to be, the hope was high for it to be a very, very successful elections, considering the fact that there was a robust stakeholders meeting that involved the CBN, the NMPC, because just before the elections, we were still battling with long queues at the petrol stations. We were still battling with the Naira crunch thing. So we felt that could affect logistics. And, at some point, INEC did what was right. And then they called all the stakeholders. And alas, on the election day, it looked like all stakeholders did not really reach the right compromises to ensure that cash wasn't a problem, to ensure logistics wasn't the problem, to ensure that the security men got to the polling centers on time, even the INEC people. Because for those, I monitored the elections, and for those that we interviewed, I'm talking about the INEC guys and the police guys, the common complaint was they couldn't get fuel, and they didn't have money to move, and the question was, this could have been sorted out. So we hope that for the governorship elections, INEC should cry out to an NPC. They should reach some sort of arrangement to ensure that Phil would not limit the movement of the umpire.
Or rather, it's still talking point on Inspiration 100.5 FM. And of course, I still have Mr. Olayinka show today with me in the studio. Again, INEC, as far as they were concerned, they did what they could do. But let's rate that election with other elections that we've had. How would you talk about the improvement of INEC?
Well, I would not want to be a judge in this case. But
let's even look at what they've done.
But honestly,
improvement?
Well, as per accreditation, yes, you could say there was improvement. But the issue is, all the issues right now that have been raised, escalated in the court concerning the credibility of the election is centered around two major things. The transmission of data to the back end, the IRF, and the time lag between when this information was captured at the polling unit and when it was released at the back end. For me, INEC put themselves in that fix. As far as we're concerned, we're still an emerging democracy. And even in advanced climes, in some cases, you don't deploy this kind of electronic machine and device to every part of the country, considering that not every part of the country have the same kind of internet integrity. So, and you know that a lot depends on the internet. A lot also, it's a technology thing. So the appreciation of the technology at rural areas will obviously not be as good as the appreciation at some urban centers. So I was waiting to see INEC tell us that, look, for these general elections, and they were so carried away because of the success they achieved in the state elections, they had forgotten that these were just one individual state. And to say that, look, for these general elections, we have 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, which means 37 territories. We want to do a model of two states per geopolitical zone to deploy this machinery. And instead of doing that, the umpire that had all the authority within the whims and caprices of the Electoral Act. The umpire could actually define how the rules will play in the case of INEC. And the chairman of INEC, in his error, is bad, went and told the whole world that transmission in real time. Maybe because he's not an IT person, he didn't really understand the import of transition in real time. And so that's where the slack just came in, that the transition was not done in real time. And so the credibility and the integrity of the election was on the stake for that reason. And it seemed a bit slower than previous elections.
So when you were speaking, something crossed my mind. In other climes, how come people, citizens, have confidence in the leadership, the electoral process? And unfortunately, we seem not to trust ourselves. We seem not to trust the process. We seem not to trust the person behind the process. Even the person who was seen in front of the process, we don't seem to trust anyone. I mean, when are we going to get to a point where we can cast our vote and go to sleep and be sure that votes are counting?
Well, for me, if you look at the history of distrust, the history of conflicts, from the preliminary stages of distrust and divergence of opinions to the point of war, to the degenerate level of war, you will find out that the major crux of the issue is all edged or predicated on improper communication. I think one of the things we lacked in this process was due communication. Like I told you, INEC chairman would have told the chairman of the political parties, the stakeholders, that look, there could be a transition issue. It is possible we envisage we could have ABC issues with transmission, ABC issues, and not everybody coming to the light of the day now to begin to encounter those issues and snags. So it was improper communication that birthed all this distrust. And that's why people are going. Then the issue of saying there's a disparity between the figures they got at the polling units and the figures that was eventually transmitted to the IREF. The process was though slow, but like I said, Nimo Jadus in consensus. I can't be a judge in this case. We'll leave it to the courts. Those who feel aggrieved, and we've got evidences, as they say, that there's a difference, a disparity between the records they got at the polling units and the records of the IREF, should go there, should approach the court with it, and let us at least take the risk of trusting the judiciary.
And the process.
Well, the process, the judiciary. Yeah.
All right, talking point on Inspiration 100.5 FM. All right, of course, we're broadcasting live at Inspiration FM House, Standard Junction, Orita Bashon. This is where we're giving it to you live this morning. All right, let's also look at, of course, you can come live on Facebook to drop your messages. We're live on Facebook at Inspiration 100.5 FM, 100.5 FM Ibadan. We're live on Facebook. Okay, so let's come back to the forthcoming election. The elections are drawing closer, whether we like it or not. Governorship elections, House of Assembly elections are prone to violence, thuggery, infighting. And I remember the last election. May so rest in peace. That was when we lost Honorable Temitope Olato Ishuga. And honestly, that was one politician who died, and I was pained and I cried because maybe because I was privileged to see some of the good things he did. I was privileged. It was a privilege, and it got at me very much. And he died in the course of that election. And so there's a need for us to begin to look at thuggery in our governorship elections, to begin to talk about the need for parents to talk to their children. If you look at the process by which Honorable Temitope Olato Ishuga was murdered in that election, Atlanta was ambushed. Those guys stopped him. They shot it at his tires, and they broke the glass at the windscreen, shot directly at his eyes, and that was it. He was the only one that was shot. No other person was killed. in the course of that particular attack, and I don't know why we feel that somebody's life, somebody's blood must be shed, for us to go to the next level. Let's talk about Togri. How do you see Togri playing out in this election?
Well, may the soul of the late Honorable Tokpa rest in peace. But I mean, the lives of every Nigerian matter to us. The life of the indigenes of every state and the settlers also matter to us. So it's a collective thing. And that's why we need to call on the security. There have been so much noise about joint task force between the military. They are doing Operation Safe Conduct now. The military, I think that's the name of the operation for the joint task force. So, I mean, we just have to call on the security, the police, every security apparatus concerned with the elections to ensure that they are their A game and they execute their responsibilities without fear or favor. They should not be partisan. I will also call on, it's everybody's business. Security is everybody's business. I'm sure the governor of this state and so many other governors in different states are giving all the support they can to ensure that the internal securities of their states are in top shape. So we'll only call on the Nigerian Police Force, the SSS, all the security apparatus to please understand that the life of every Nigerian is of great value. They should be dispassionate. They should not be emotional. They should not be driven by relationships before now with any politician or any political inclination or interest or tendencies. They should ensure that the bottom line of the operation is safeguarding the life of the average Nigerian. Yes, we could give it to them at the presidential polls that yes, we had pockets of skirmishes here and there, but I mean, you could say that it was at the end of the day, the bottom line was a safer election. So we hope that the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. We hope they enter into that room for this election and we improve on the good one we had the other time. And Ibadan was peaceful. Ibadan was sweet. We just hope that
I'm just trying to
it's going to be.
imagine. I'm just trying to imagine and hoping that this coming Saturday election could be like that of the 25th. I'm just hoping because I've seen elections and I've seen elections.
Jade, permit me to join you in the hope. I'm on the queue for the hope.
Honestly, I can't
And
wait
all
to
of
have
us
it
are
happen.
hoping.
Because I mean, I've seen election. I know there was the violence was recorded. I've had terrible experiences on the field in election coverage in states across the southwest. I've seen a lot, so I can imagine if this election in your state can be very, very peaceful.
Well, we should look at it from 2-3 angles. Policing in Nigeria is for now a centralized federal system. Well, I've watched on TV the IG and the DIG operations giving assurances, the DGSSS and the state directors of SSS. I've seen commissioners of police of a lot of states come out, and for some time, give it to Oyo. It looks like the security in Oyo State in the last few years has been of top priority. We've seen a lot of equipments with them now. They'll be more mobile than they were before because predominantly the challenge of security is centered around equipment and the preparedness of the police force and the security apparatuses involved to combat crime. You talk about mobility. Suppose there is between the scene of violence now, and the next police station or police intervention or presence is about maybe 20 or 30 kilometers or 10 kilometers, and you expect the police to get there on time. It's all going to be dependent on, do they have vehicles to move? Do they even have the logistics, the fuel to move? It was so appalling during the fall hike we had. I saw police vehicles, special intervention vehicles queuing at the petrol station. Then I asked myself, suppose there was a flashpoint somewhere, who gets there now on time? So we keep pleading to governors, to federal government, to equip the police, all our security apparatuses, with the necessary logistics, vehicular logistics, arms and ammunition, and the right kind of training to combat crime. So I join you in the hope.
I'm very, very optimistic.
Well, I am too. From 25th of February, it seemed like the better days are here now.
I just hope we don't lose anyone. I seriously hope.
Amen.
I also recall that one of the elections that we had in the past two, there was straight bullets that got at a child, young lady, I think a lady, somewhere around Ekotedo in Mokola area.
Yeah, sure.
And I also visited that scene. That I think it was that last election as well. It was a stray bullet from one of the security agencies and a CDC that led to the death of that young lady. And
Well, I think it's also important for us to understand that we can have predominant situations, preponderant situations. It may be utopian, maybe unhuman, it may be playing God to expect 100% situation anyway. There could be skirmishes. There would be skirmishes. Our prayer is that we don't have them. The reality is that we would have them. So what we are all doing is taking steps to ensure that they are so reduced to the point where they are not significant for mention. But we all hope we'll get to a point where it will never happen. It happens in advanced climes. It happens in the United States. It happens almost everywhere in the world. But let's contain it. Make it at the barest minimum.
all right, do join us 0704 800 1005. The number to call, or the numbers to call 0704 800 1005. The numbers to call to join the conversation this morning on Talking Point on Inspiration 100.5 FM. I have with me in the studio, I have Mr. Olayinka Shotade, and of course, he's my guest in the studio. Join the conversation this morning on Inspiration 100.5 FM. All right, of course, moving ahead on the program. I'd like us to look at Oyo State as a whole. We've had several governors in Oyo State. Like to start with the former governor, Rashidi Ladoja, Senator Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja, who is also an high chief in Oyo State. He ran his term, even though it was cut short by a political strategist.
It happens.
Yeah, shit happens. Of course, that went, and we had the late, may he so rest in peace, former governor.
Action man. The talker.
They call him Bujebudano. Some people call him ATM governor. Some call him, he had a lot, Omo Yalaro, he had a lot of great names. And, he's just one unique man, in his own way. He doesn't care. He does his things the way he feels.
He was too down to the earth, to a fault.
To a fault,
It became a big burden to him.
Yes, but he was a great guy. A great man, and he did very well. Adebayo Alawakala, former governor, did fantastically well, such that his presence mattered in your state election. The whole of Ogbomoso, Okeogun axis was determined. The votes from there was determined by Alawakala. Whatever political party he went, will join him during the election to say, look, Alawo, must come back, or let's give his candidates the support. And then I move over to our own. He's also late now, but a very fantastic governor. I remember one of the things he would say. Former governor Isiaq Abiola Jimobi would say. There was a day he said, he asked some of his aides. He said, "Look, what color is this book?" And the person said, and they were looking at him, and he said, "Should be this book is blue." And they said, "Yes, it's blue." And he said, "You see, you're just deceiving me." And and sometimes he will say, when people say he's doing Ojuaye, he will say, So he was full of words. He had those words. Honestly, I don't know what he would have looked like if he didn't become a governor before he passed on, because he was loaded. He was a loaded man, and he gave everything he had to ensuring that he served the state, and he changed the face of Oyo State. And of course, he served the only governor that served for 2 terms. Uh, they called him Kosheleri governor, but it was unfortunate that shortly after he left office, so short, it was too short. COVID-19 took him away, and he's no more too. And so, of course, I didn't get to start from Lamadeshino. Alaji Lamadeshino of blessed memory also served the state, and he was one democratic governor. He did well in his, he did his best. Of course, let me come down to the current governor of your state, His Excellency Governor Sheyi Makinde, who is in the race. He, of course, wants to go second term, Sheyi 2.0. And so many people feels that, look, Governor Sheyi Makinde has done his best. Governor Sheyi Makinde has tried his best, and he deserves a second term. Some of the opinion that, look, it's a political party thing. If Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged APC at the national, therefore, it's going to be a tsunami, which has happened before, and the people feel it's going to happen again. But this time, the governor feels and says that, look, he has done well and he deserves to be given opportunity to serve the second term. Now, let's assess what Governor Sheyi Makinde has done in your state. What do you think he has done that is so spectacular that should make people give him that opportunity to do a second term?
Okay, so there's a part of me that I find very difficult to kill, and that's the activist part of me.
Okay.
And what that has made me, and why it's been difficult for me to kill it, is because it's made me a CFA. There is this cliche we use amongst ourselves. We call it CFA, which means country first advocates and activists. You see, the first thing I want to look at, without necessarily sounding immodest or sounding like I want to blow a trumpet for any governor. You see, you alluded to Ashiwaju winning in Oyo State. We saw a lot of mixes in the last elections that announced to us that the period of people making their choices across political divides, irrespective of their political parties, has come. A time where people have followed the antecedents of each of the candidates and they feel that, okay, we think this guy has done enough to earn this our mandate. For me, what makes a society civil? What makes a society developed? There are 5 cardinal areas that steers the development of any society. You want to look at security. You want to look at health. You want to look again at the social services. You want to also look in the area of social infrastructure. What templates have been put in place in terms of policies and programs, physical policies and programs of government to aid the flow of commerce, to help the creation and the flow of businesses? You want to also look at that. Then you want to look at education. How is that state preparing for its future? For me, this is my assessment as a researcher. Oyo State is the pace-setter state. If you remember, this was the center and the capital of the Western region, a region that was the leading region amongst other regions in Nigeria, a region that was the prime inter pares. So Oyo State is reputed for a clear understanding of the role it plays in the life, the pan-Yoruba and the pan-African struggle for social development and social revolution. So that's why you will see that you have had governors in Oyo State who have been so endeared to their people, who have lived up to the responsibilities of ensuring that they steer up development. Now, for education, for example, I have looked through my research to seeing this current governor intervene in every part and phase stratum of education. He's done a lot for primary education. He's done a lot for secondary education. You have the likes of the community school, Onikokoro there at Lagelu. You will see the community school at Onara. You will see the Islamic school at Lagelu. You will see the Adeyemi Memorial High School. Look at what is done with Lautech. He has saved us all the quagmire in Lautech. He's taking the responsibility of the ownership, and the rest is history.
Okay, you'd allow me to take this call. I'd like to take this call. I beg your pardon. Hello, good morning. Hello, good
And
morning.
have an opportunity to learn something new.
Hello. Yeah.
Fantastic prizes during the session. By the way,
Okay, we'll take that call again. We'll take that call. Okay, I think having some technical issues. Okay, engineer, please come around, and let's resolve this technical issue together. Having some technical. Let's continue.
So one critical thing he has done in education that marveled us much more than all the feats, what he has done for primary, secondary, and tertiary education, is putting in place an EMIS, Education Management Infrastructure System. You see, this is a system. The Education Management Information System is a system to ensure standardization, to ensure service delivery. And that's why I am one of those who is not a fan of core politicians who don't have any private sector, any value-driven mindset to take over government. Now, it's not just investing there, it's ensuring that there is an information system that is keeping tracks to ensure service delivery of the milestones and the policy focuses on every stratum of education. Look at security, for example. We cannot gainsay the kind of support. It was an unalloyed support. It was a clear support it gave to the Amotekun. There was an immediate need, and it reacted immediately to. There was an immediate stimulus, a need for us to protect our territories better. And him and some other governors, Akeredolu too, they came up and they enforced their Amotekun, put their feet on the ground. And look, policing, if you say we cannot have policing, community policing, there is a way we must be able to protect our people. And this is not a competition with the police. This is to build a system that is community friendly and has got great knowledge of community intel gathering to support the police. He has also supported the police. If you look at the issue of roads now, because another thing is what is happening. How are you connecting commerce? How are you ensuring a free flow of commercial activities to at least to sustain development?
Okay, you'd allow us to go on this commercial. When we come back, we'll take more calls. And of course, we'll continue the conversation.
Bẹ́fẹ́ so onígbọ̀wọ́ ètò ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Inspiration ni ẹ lọ ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Rédíò mọ̀lẹ́bí nìbàdàn ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Tẹ̀síìrì lẹ bá fẹ́ ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Bó ṣe dìde Músárì ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Ìrun pípé ló bá wẹ̀yìn ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Owó tasọ̀rẹ́ lẹ ó san ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Ọlá akéwòrí wọn dá o ẹ máa bọ̀ o. Sẹ́yìn náà bá fẹ́ ṣe onígbọ̀wọ́ ètò kan sí kejì ní Inspiration FM àkọ́kọ́ rédíò mọ̀lẹ́bí ẹ pè sí orí àwọn nọ́mbà yìí 07032463347 tàbí 08138935202 Ramadan Kareem.
Olúyọ̀lé City, Ibadan, àtidé. Check us out on 100.5 FM.
With one song, with one voice.
All right, welcome back. He's still talking. I apologize. We couldn't pick calls earlier, but we can now take calls right away. All right, the numbers to call 0704 800 1005 You can also send us SMSs or WhatsApp on 0809 I can see your messages. I will take them shortly. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Aderonke on the line.
Aderonke, go ahead.
Yeah, well done. I greet your guest.
Quickly.
Concerning Governor Sheyi Makinde re-election, so Governor Sheyi Makinde truly deserves second time as he has done so well. So what wows me under his administration is the way he tackled the COVID-19 issue pandemic then. So that was what wowed me under his administration, in the sense that even the federal government and some other states, they emulate his style of leadership. So to me, he surely deserves second time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'll take more calls. I have more callers on the line. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Quickly.
Hello, good morning, man. This is Prince Bomi. This is calling from Apata.
Okay, go ahead quickly.
Yes, ma'am. Good to know that Oyo State is not among the states that battled with insecurity during presidential election. And this is happening because the efforts of the Oyo State government by equipping Amateku and security agencies in the state. Because in the history of Oyo State now, no government has ever bought 350 vehicles to all security agencies in the state. And their payments are regular. So I will just urge him to do more because it deserves second time. That's my submission.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. All right, I'll take more calls as they come. 0704 800 1005. The numbers to call 0704 800 1005 090 Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, your name and where you're calling from.
This is Abiola. I'm calling from.
Okay, Abiola, go ahead.
Truth be told, Governor Sheyi Makinde deserves second. So he is an exceptional leader with so much achievement to show for. Because when he wants to come to power in 2019, he promised us education, health, insecurity, and infrastructure to build the economy. So with all this, he has not defaulted in keeping to his promise.
Okay.
So the children now enjoy free education in Oyo State. He claimed the sole ownership of Lautech with the reduction of 25% in the tuition fee. So with all this, it is that second time.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Madam Jadesola.
Good morning, Tolu. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Quickly.
okay, yeah. See, there's something I want us to know this morning. That there's no government that will be in place that will not do something. See, you get. But just that the ambition of this current administration in Oyo State will forever remain the best experience we've had in Oyo State when it comes to good governance. Because he's never tired of giving support to the people. And that's even evidence in the way and manner he has been coping with people's face. I told you, I've been saying this, that one of the policies I so much love about this government is the abolishment of free in our public schools. Because that has reduced the number of out-of-school children in the state, unlike before. And he even recruited about 5,000 teachers. So for that reason alone, this administration is still the best so far. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much. 0704 800 1005 0704 800 1005 the number to call. Join the conversation this morning. 0704 800 1005 All right, I have this message on Facebook. Adirito Rashida say, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Okay. Adironke Akorede Oladele is also saying Governor Sheyi Makinde has demonstrated the capacity and knowledge in developing the Oyo State by providing numerous developmental projects for the good people of the state. As the 110-kilometer Ibadan Circular Road project remains the single and the biggest. All right, I'll leave that and move to Oluwaseun Ruth saying, good morning. It's the government's responsibility to ensure the safety of the citizens with utmost priority. More reasons why Governor Sheyi Makinde keep investing more on the security in the state. I'll leave that there. And, of course, I thank you for sending your messages. All right, I'll take this call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Madam Jadesola.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Thank you. I'm Bosse calling from Olodo.
Boss, go ahead quickly.
Thank you. Concerning Governor Sheima Kende of Oyo State, we have seen different aspects where he has really performed excellently well in the state. So he really deserves the second time because for me, I've seen, aside from him employing 5,000 teachers in test course, we have also seen the situation about the infrastructural aspect, the roads, especially that which concerns me majorly, the roads to Olodo from Iwo Road has been flagged up and there's projects on it currently. They are working on
Okay.
it. We've heard that the Ruwasa have been performing excellently well through his support, through Governor Sheima Kinde's support. Governor Sheima Kinde earlier supported them and they've been effective. So they've been giving borehole, making borehole available for some local governments. So it really deserves the second time in Oyo State.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Around 0704 800 1005. I have another call on the line. Hello. Okay, that call dropped. You can call back. I'll take your call if your call still come on. All right, so let's come back to the studio. Okay, I also have from Amade Adekole on Facebook. Okay, let me take this call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jadesola.
All right, good. Sulaiman Sheriff. Okay. All right, go ahead quickly.
On my neck, I think all the lapses that occur in 2026, so the little time they have, they're supposed to amend it to make for us this gubernatorial election, because the population is increase, not like the president here, because this gubernatorial election, that is election that is very close to the people in their state. About the development of your state, see, from 1999 to 2023, all the past governors we have in this state, they tried their best. That is the bitter truth. But this present administration of your state is even trying his best. In one way, is that it deviating from usual practice of abandoned projects of his predecessor. Then we are talking about continuity. All the abandoned projects that he inherited, it must be a back. That's what we call good governance. But yesterday, I watched one seasoned journalist in your state. I don't want to mention his name. He uploaded the infrastructural development that is going on your state about Ibadan Circular Road.
Okay.
And he has his bridge.
Okay.
That is the largest infrastructure we have in West Africa.
Let's not go about let's not go talking about any seasoned journalist. Someone might be seasoned to you, I might not be seasoned professionally. So let's not go there.
You also are a seasoned
well, you can't compare me with whoever you are saying. I'm a different journalist. I'm quite professional.
About investigative journalism, I think that person go and back just to let us know what is going on.
We don't have issues with that.
Government in that aspect.
All right.
That we need a good productive.
Sulaiman Sheriff, it's time to go. Thank you very much. I'll take another call before I come back to the studio. Hello, good morning. All right, we lost the call. All right, let me come back to the studio.
Okay.
A lot has been said by people. I can still see the line buzzing, but let's have some conversation here. A lot has been said. I think it's the first time in the history of your state that you see people following projects back to back. They're able to tell you what government is doing at one point. So, how do you see the people and people's engagement ahead of this election?
You see, well, coming to that, I would like to flow from somewhere. I was part of one project that analyzed the failure of African projects, the failure of governments in Africa, the policies of government. And you know what we found out? We found out that most of the policies that have been put in place by most African governments, either at the national or subnational level, they have not really engaged the people. There's no real conversation with the end users that the policy is supposed to affect their lives. And in that case, there is a big gap between the beautiful ideas you package in your policy and the positive influence it should have in the lives of people. So I think what is happening now is that disconnect is not in Oyo State, as you've heard so many people speak. All the pockets of projects, from the dualization of the roads, the sensitive nature, the critical nature of the roads that have been dualized, the roads that have been upgraded, these roads are impacting directly on commerce and the lives of people. the projects and policies of this government seem to be hitting it home hard, really influencing and impacting the commerce in Oyo State and the lives of people. So naturally, people have followed because for the first time, or maybe for yet another time, they are seeing projects of government improving their lives, creating increased capacity for business, the ease of doing business, creating a connect between all the divisions of the Oyo State generally. There is a seamless connection between the Monoton to Iseyin now, a seamless connection along the Oyo Gbomosho Road, Iseyin Shaki. There is a connection. So commerce is flowing now. Somebody can he can take everything from his production points somewhere in Okeogun and bring it to Ibadan city in a short time to sell. So there is ample time. There is great opportunity created by this infrastructure for existing businesses, even agricultural businesses, to thrive. So we have less goods getting spoiled from harvest. We have people now, commerce moving freely through the state. So naturally, it's expected when people begin to experience a better life, people will talk. The salary people, in fact, one of the first things that even really impressed us is the comments of the civil servants and the people that are directly or indirectly connected with government. The way salaries are paid, pensions are paid, and these are things that other governments are really struggling to get. And obviously, we all know that Oyo State is not the richest state in the Southwest. And there's still a way you get to do these things. So naturally, people will speak. And most fundamentally, one of the speakers said something that was critical. And that's what gave me the belief that, look, there is a need for continuity in government. Like I told you, I'm a country first advocate. Is this government doing it right? If it is doing it right, then let it have more sail to take its populace and its environment, either state or at the federal level, to the next level of prosperity. This is a man, we also from investigation found out that he didn't abandon the projects of the former government. He continued. So it means that there must have been a holistic appraisal of the needs of Oyo State. He has at the point of appraising the need appraisal, he has discovered that some of these roads from the previous government are critical to the economic plan and prosperity of Oyo State. So he plunged into it and he continued. So for me, it shouldn't be about party. It should be about the lives and of the people and the development of the state. So naturally, the grand norm, there's something we popularly say, voice populi, voice Dei. The voice of people should be the voice of God. And salus populis suprema leseto. The welfare of the people should be the final law in governance. It seemed like the current government of Oyo State has placed the welfare of the people as its supreme basis or the supreme template for every decision making in terms of programs and policies. And I think that is why you have a lot of people gravitating towards that sense of he's done well, so he deserves another term. And we're going to have more of it in Nigeria. And we're beginning to see the results from the reps, from the Senate, and people now have identified individuals that can help, individuals that love them, individuals that have contributed to their life somewhat before they get into government or while they are in government, and they feel they should queue behind these people because they deserve a better life. And the way to do it is to ensure that you elect the right leader. So I'm not surprised at the clamor.
Okay. All right. On this note, we have to call it a day. But before we call it a day, because we need to take some advert in between that we didn't take. I can still see people calling, but I can't take the calls. I'm sorry. Someone, Ayodele Damilola, said March 18 will present Oyo State with a golden opportunity to say Makinde is okay. On and on like that. I might not be able to take more because